I said that I would do this as a live stream. The last one was a live stream here. You can see part one. Watch part one because I give two, not only Proverbs 1 through 4, but study tips for studying the Bible. And we're supposed to study to shew ourselves approved. Starting off in Proverbs 4, I'm just going to read. Again, I'm checking references here. And you see a father here and father son teaching, but also for good doctrine and but for us Christians too. So I'm seeing what I can see here, and in these recordings you might see some pauses here. So a lot of Proverbs is about wisdom. More about wisdom. Hopefully you've read Proverbs. I think they're called the wisdom books: Proverbs, Psalms, Ecclesiastes, the book of Job, and the Song of Solomon. So in 14, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. Oh wait, I did Proverbs 4. I saw that did that. Sorry. I thought it was familiar, and that's the thing. I should notice that, but sorry about that. But you see, again, that wisdom, and if you go to 4, so maybe that was good. You have understanding, and then you have wisdom down here. So that's why I was a little bit thrown off. As you can see, there's stuff that does relate though, some of these proverbs, to prophecy. The wormwood. I'm surprised it doesn't have the wormwood reference. Isn't there a reference, I think, in Revelation somewhere? So some of these Bible cross references aren't going to be perfect as far as all the references. And you see there's not hardly any references here. So most of the studies is seeing the references because it can connect to prophecy. Like if I get to Isaiah, you'll see Isaiah has a lot of references. So, I gotta get my notes here. I haven't transferred them to a computer. I just have like a rough, very rough sheet here. So, again, this just takes a lot of time, and I hope I have enough energy to do this. So, Proverbs 5, verse 18: Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Malachi chapter 2, verse 14: Yet ye say, Wherefore? Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. So I did have that reference too. We had that reference in chapter and Proverbs number 2 for Malachi. Verse 19: Let her be as the loving hind in a pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. I think I'm pronouncing ravished right. And you have Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 9. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall. He looketh forth at the windows, shewing himself through the lattice. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So I'm going to get the clock up here, if I can find one. Maybe I won't. Let's see, I'll just have to pay attention because I want to get through this at a reasonable speed as far as that, because Otherwise, I might not get to cover it all. So, 421 or 521 there. I got to write my notes. So if you're going with us, 518, I'd write down. I got 519. I might transfer this to a computer someday. So now 521. Running out of paper. Room. Okay. For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. And then there's a ton of references here to check out. I guess I can read. So I might even circle that one because I think that's the most references we came across so far. So I might circle 521. For the ways of men are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. And 2 Chronicles 16:19. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to shew himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Wherein thou hast done foolishly, therefore from henceforth thou shalt have wars. And again, Hosea, if I'm pronouncing that, talks about before my face. Hebrews, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him that whom we have to do. I'll maybe read the whole thing. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him which whom we have to do. And Jeremiah 16:17. For mine eyes are upon all their ways, they are not hid from my face, neither is there iniquity hid from my eyes. So I'm going to go to 6 now. And we're at 1 o'clock and 8 minutes here. The reason why I'm doing it too a little bit faster than I would want to is because I think the teachings like sanctification, regeneration, adoption, stuff like that might be more important than this as far as not let me say that, not more important, but the order of for you guys and for teaching might be to teach those subjects rather than going through the books right now. Will I be able to do both? I'm not sure, and that's why I'm kind of going faster through this. So okay, so 109, let's see. Not that I'm trying to rush through it or anything, but I feel led to teach on those, sanctification, regeneration, because I think then those you can maybe teach others. If you can teach others, you can watch the videos and teach others. So I'd say Proverbs 6 verse 4, reference to Psalm 132 verse 4. Hopefully you can read this too. I mean, if you can read this when it's moments of silence, you can read too. So if you see some silence, hear some silence here. I'm just chapter 6 verse 12, a naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a forward mouth. And we saw that forwardness in the previous. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, he teacheth with his fingers. Talks about soaring, he soweth discord in 14. And then the 6 things doth the Lord hate. About that verse, you've probably seen it from YouTube. If not, read um, 6, 14, 15, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Read those verses. And some of it, I could read, but I want you to read it too. So mark down to read Proverbs 16. Proverbs 6, 14 through 18. See where, if I get to the book of Isaiah, this is going to be, the references are going to be a lot more, how should I say it? There's going to be more references in the book of Isaiah, and, where it could spend just in one chapter checking the references and studying about a half an hour. But for the sake of time, and I don't know how many people are watching this, maybe only a couple, 2 people, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. So the next one we'll probably go to, and I guess I read Proverbs 25 and 6. Gotta get 1 in there. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. Matthew chapter 5 verse 28. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Don't want to move too fast. So you might just pause and read Ezekiel chapter 13 verse 18. Something maybe I could study later. Ezekiel, something I gotta study more in the future. So Ezekiel chapter 13 verse 18. Maybe I'll write that one down. And again, sometimes I don't get to these verses. That maybe one I want to write down. So you can do the same when you're going through. See, some of these I could, I think they could kind of do a little bit more references over here. But, without, I don't know the verse numbers where I could reference. I kind of have them in my head what the verse is, some of the content, where I'd relate it to, but I don't have it memorized. I hope we're okay. So chapter, Proverbs 7 talks about the law as the apple of thine eye, and you can see some references here. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. So, verse 10, I thought could, use some references. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. I feel like they could have done some references there. Even this, they could have done a reference. To me, it seems like, but this this program does a pretty good job. I looked at Isaiah and they had some good references there. But for some reason, Proverbs chapter, verse 19, for the good man is not at home, he is gone a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. I'm not sure why they didn't have some references, because there could be, that would have been a good opportunity to list some references there. And again, I don't have it memorized, so I can't, but that'd be something for you guys to study. And even verse 22, I thought could have some references. But then, some of these other reference Bibles, sometimes they list, um, it seems like references that don't always, or, relate as well as some of the other references. It feels like they're just listing them to list more Bible verses. Like, some of these study Bibles will have for each one, maybe like, or sometimes they'll have like eight references. And then you look up some of them and it's like, well, it felt like maybe they're just adding them to add more references. So, Proverbs 7:26, for she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 26, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. So, moving on, Proverbs 8. I'm going to try to move a little faster than yesterday. I'm trying to get through 15 here, 16, 17, somewhere in there, and then tomorrow maybe get through the rest. And again, I was hoping for more references in here. In Isaiah, they have a lot of references, but they could have used some more here. So they have a lot in verse 11. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. Okay, so wisdom is better than rubies. Amen. So you saw in Proverbs 4:5, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Job 28, verse 15, it cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. Job 28:15. And there's a key verse here. And again, I'm starting to write them down, but I'm just going to write down maybe the ones that I want to study more, such as Ezekiel 13:18 and some of the other things. 13 here in Proverbs 8. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogance, and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. So that's an important one. So this is key. Proverbs 8, um, 23. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. You want to read the context here. Again, Proverbs 8:17. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. And as far as verse 23 goes, in John chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's capital W. I thought this kind of interesting. When he prepared the heavens, we're in 27. I was there when he set a compass upon the face of the depth. Also, verse 28. When he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep. And then, two dots here. So go to verse 29. When he gave the sea his decree, and the waters should not pass his commandment. When he appointed the fountains of the earth. Then I was by him as one brought up with him, and I was his daily delight, rejoicing always before him. (31) Rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, my delights were the sons of men. So interesting verses here. I remember when I was listening to audio, I thought this was interesting. About a compass upon the face of the depth. So I'm not sure if this is talking about, north, east, south, and west, or is this talking about, something to do with magnetism, or maybe directions or something. I'm just not sure. And it definitely could have gave some references to the deep. Again, a little disappointed there. So next, Proverbs 9. And maybe read along if you want. So Proverbs 9 verse 5, come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. Isaiah chapter 55 verse 1, ho, every one that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Proverbs 9 verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Verse 17 and 18, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and her guests are in the depths of hell. Moving on, Proverbs 10. There's the treasure again. Treasures. Um, 10:5. He that gathereth in the summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in the harvest is a son that causeth shame. verse 7 in Proverbs 10. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. So I'm just reading here and seeing where I want to go next. Verse 19. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. James chapter 3 verse 2. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Verse 23, Proverbs 10. It is as sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom. Verse 30, the righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. Going on to 11 here. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. A lot of references there. Verse 4, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So some nice references there. So this one would be maybe one that I would circle here for possible future study if I remember and get to it. So again, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 19. They shall cast their silver in the streets, their gold shall be removed, their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. And Zephaniah 1:18, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. So again, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealously tried. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So, I mean, there you have a reference to this day of the wrath. There's going to be a time, coming, I think, fairly soon. God's wrath is going to be poured on. He's going to pour his cup of wrath on the earth. And, people can still repent and get saved at that time, but a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people are just going to get killed and are going to end up in hell. And, it's tough, maybe thinking about some of these things, but we have a righteous God, and he's gonna punish wickedness, and you got to remember God is long suffering. So a lot of these people could have repented and turned to Christ, but they didn't. And if you're not saved, now it's a good day to turn to Christ. And I do have a salvation message featured on my YouTube channel that you can check out and hear the gospel message. So verse 13, a talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. James chapter 3 verse 18. And the fruit of the righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. So again, the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. So I'm not sure again if I'm gonna go which ones I'm gonna go through. I was thinking about doing Genesis. I was thinking about possibly doing Isaiah, and there's so many references in Psalms, but it's quite a big book. I think it's the largest book, and I don't know if this program is going to have the references that are maybe needed. And I think Psalms would just take it. Isaiah is going to take a long time. So I'm thinking about this, and I felt led to do Proverbs, and maybe Genesis. I'm trying to look down here. Even they have maybe cross references in Exodus. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Exodus. A lot of it's types, if you're familiar with types, and even Leviticus. To teach from that, I'd almost be better off teaching from books rather than maybe the cross references and stuff. But maybe personal study, you can study in the cross references. I'm just trying to think the best way to do this, and maybe Ruth. I have a lot of books, commentary on Ruth, but I haven't covered them as far as I haven't read them, besides a couple of them. But I mean, I've learned about Ruth a lot. It's a good book, Ruth. Ezra too. Wait, which one am I? Yeah, I mean Esther. So Ruth and Esther's books that you want to read. I mean, read them all. So I'm kind of looking here. I'd like to do Psalms, but it's there's so many references there that, I mean, we'll check out Psalms and just see what kind of references they have. But I feel like this program does a good job in the prophets here. So we might get to some of these, like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, possibly Ezekiel, and maybe Daniel. And I don't know about these. So I'm kind of like thinking more like, kind of like down here, like possibly Song of Solomon. So I probably might do one in Genesis, but maybe some of these I'm thinking more, and maybe not so much in the New Testament, maybe Revelation. So those are the ones I'm kind of looking at. Just thinking about it right now. I don't think with the other teaching videos I'm not going to be able to do them all, and it is taking longer than I thought. But that being said, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to, because if you look at Isaiah, I mean, there's so many references, and it's kind of complex here. So, I'm not sure how to do it really. Possibly finish Proverbs, work on Genesis, and then maybe focus more, try to get those teachings out, because the sanctification, regeneration, I'm just listing examples. Those teachings, then you can understand them and teach others. Where this, it's going to be a little bit harder to teach others, because you'd have to, be familiar with the references, write them down, be in a computer, have this program, or play the video. And then just to teach someone that, it's not going to, it might not work. The reason why I'm doing it now, I have some people that might be listening to it. But if you're just with family members, or other Christians. Again, it'd be kind of hard to teach this with the verse references. It's kind of more for your own personal study and to get you to study the Bible. So part of the reason I'm doing this is to get you to study it. You can see it's a lot of work. But I just feel like those other videos on the topics, certain topics, it's going to be more important, and you might be able to teach other those. So I'm probably going to stick with those topics more. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. Verse 30. Going to 12. Again, I want to try to get to 15 here. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. And there might be some verses that you really like here, and maybe I'm not reading them. I'm just, could be some that you have your favorites. That's kind of giving you some of them here. Verse 14, a man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him. Verse 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. Verse 23, a prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. Verse 28, in the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no evil. So moving on to 13, and like I said, I want to get to maybe 18, maybe even 19. That way tomorrow will be a little bit easier for me to get this done. Verse 5 of 13. A righteous man hateth lying, but a wicked man is loathsome and cometh to shame. Verse 10 in Proverbs 13. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. Verse 12. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. Verse 17. A wicked messenger falleth into mischief, but a faithful ambassador is health. Verse 24 in Proverbs 13. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. Verse 25. The righteous eateth to the satisfying of his soul, but the belly of the wicked shall want. Again, a lot of these references either are cross references to Proverbs or Psalms themselves, and they're books of wisdom. It's going on to 14 here, and I think I started this 45 minutes ago. I don't know if there's a time here. Yep. Well, there's a time here. This is a nice program. So if you're looking for a program to do screen recordings, or if you're looking for a program to do live stream, OBS is the program that you probably want to check out. It's 40 minutes. So let's see. Um, Try to go an hour here, and verse 4 of 14. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. Verse 9 of 14. Fools make a mock at sin, but among the righteous there is favor. And you've seen that if you talk to people. If you try to warn them about stuff, they'll mock. So the fools make a mock at sin, but among the righteous there is favor. Proverbs 14, verse 13. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. 14. The backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. 16. A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident. (26) In the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. 27. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Moving on. So now in 15, and again, with Genesis, I guess I can just go to Genesis. You can see, look at that. Look, that's the most references. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. You see how many references there are there. A lot of Job references here. Where I'd be interested would be kind of close to the end here. In 49, and see what kind of references here. Be one to study, same with maybe some of the other books, like the end of Jeremiah. I'm sure some of those references would be something. So, exactly how am I going to do this? I'm not really sure. I think for the future videos, you see, I actually have Isaiah here. I have like maybe the first 4 completed in Isaiah, and it took days, because you can see how many and all these references kind of went through. And I just don't know. I'd like to do it, like I said, but I just don't know how to do it. I thought maybe in a book format or something, but you can see how many references here, and a lot of them are very important. And you can see here, so, and it's like the prophets, again, different people, but we know they were writing this under the Holy Spirit, and they're prophesying in the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, and that's why there's a lot of connections here, and sometimes they're describing the same thing, and there's a lot of references here. And even if I go to, I haven't checked Isaiah like 33, we'll go to, You can see there's just sometimes, especially with Isaiah, there's references to different chapters, and I just don't know. I'd like to do it, but how though? Because the reason why I picked the book of Proverbs, it's a little bit easier because I knew maybe some of the references wouldn't be where I'd have to go. And with these Isaiah, I'd have to cover a lot of them. Like if I just go on to Isaiah 33, verse 1, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they I can hear my voice echo for some reason. And they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. And then if you look at Habakkuk, got that 2:8, and then Revelation. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So where I'd spend my time, and I spent some of it, but just because of things would be, with a program like this, I'd be kind of focusing on the prophets and the cross references. And also, like I said, Genesis 49, chapter 49. It'd be interesting to see what they have for Ruth. So they could have more references, I see, for Ruth that maybe are left out. But, maybe Ruth, just because it's shorter, 4 chapters, it might not take a person so long. Same with, I said Ezra, but same with Esther. So 10 chapters there, a little bit longer. But a lot of focus here. I would put, going from see how the Song of Solomon, what they have. So with the Song of Solomon, references to other parts of Song of Solomon, and then it looks like maybe Isaiah. One in Revelation here. Let's see. So I might read that Revelation one. So Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 2. I sleep, but my heart waketh. It is the voice of my beloved that knocketh, saying, Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my undefiled. For my head is filled with dew, and my locks with drops of the night. Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and I will sup with him, and he with me. So that was a nice reference there. You can see it's a lot to. Most of this references is to songs of Solomon within the book itself. So I think I would, if I were you with this program, this Bible, Power Bible CD, Revelation, Genesis 49, and possibly 50. I'd see. I have to see. I forget how long. If it goes into Genesis 50. Oops. Trying to find this. So I'd focus on 49, and might as well do 52, but 49, possibly 50, and then I would let's see what they have for this one. So again, I'm kind of just seeing what they have here, reading kind of fast. I'm not reading all the text. I'm kind of seeing what kind of references they have. Vanity, vanity. All is vanity, saith the preacher. And that kind of is applied to things today, YouTube, and nothing new under the sun. Still is vanity. Let's see. Kind of going fast here. So again, I'd focus again, Genesis 49 and possibly 50, and possibly this. Seems like this could have some. This might be a good book to study the references. So maybe how I'd do this would be, Genesis the 49 and possibly 50, and then start at Ecclesiastes and work your way down, which this be a lot of work, And so I might just do it personal, and then I might show you later what I have for that, and I can start with Isaiah. Sometime I have the first 4 chapters done. So let's see. I don't want to go too much longer than an hour, and I did want to get through 15 here, so I might as well continue with 15 and maybe wrap it up there. And if I can't get all of it done tomorrow, I kind of want to, but I'll save it for Monday actually, because I do have like a doctor's appointment Monday, so I should be able to continue with Proverbs. Probably won't finish it tomorrow, so 15 maybe tomorrow. I can get through maybe 24, 23, somewhere there, and then finish it on Monday. So 15, I think that's where I stopped. This was 14. Yeah, I got 14 done. So go with 15 now, and probably end it there. Again, I like to keep it under an hour. I know after like 45 minutes it gets hard to even for me to study and to listen to a video, so I don't want to go. Verse 1, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. And a lot of references there. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Job 34 verse 20, for his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he seeth all his goings. And a reference to Proverbs 5 verse 21, for the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. Jeremiah chapter 16 verse 17, for mine eyes are upon all their ways, they are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. Jeremiah 32 verse 19, great in counsel and mighty in work, for thine eyes are open upon all the ways of the sons of men, to give every one according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. You might as well read them all. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13, neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him whom we have to do. I read some of those verses in part 1. Verse 5, a fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. Verse 8, the sacrifice, and there's a lot of references here, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. Might come back to that one. Notice a lot of references. Just going to take a drink of water. Verse 11. Proverbs 15. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more than the hearts of the children of men? And a lot of references there. So I might have to, just for time's sake, like I said, I want to keep it under an hour. You can see. So if I can remember where to leave off, I'm not too organized in my notes. Admit that. Got other faults too. But so 15:8 we'll get back to next time, and 15:11 we can cover next time. Just for time's sake, this probably won't happen. Verse 12, a scorner loveth not that reproveth him, neither will he go unto the wise. 13. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. Verse 16 I always liked. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. Verse 29. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he heareth the prayer of the righteous. And just remember not to rely on your own righteousness. As Christians, you rely on what Jesus Christ did for you. He died for your sins and rose from the dead, shed his blood for your sins. So a lot of Proverbs, too, about people, it's all about, well, not all, but Proverbs about instruction and wisdom, and how, the foolish disregard that. They don't pay attention. They don't listen at all. So in verse 33, the fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. So I think I'm gonna, exclamation points too. So I like exclamation points here. So a man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season. How good is it? Exclamation point. And at verse 21 is something to consider. Folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom, but a man of understanding walketh uprightly. So there's something to think about. Folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom. So I mean, like the foolish, like folly for them, foolish lack wisdom, and folly to them is joy. So it's something to think about. I guess verse 17 I like too. Better, I like them all. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. So I want to read verse 16 one more time. I'm just going to check. So I read the references. Psalms 37, or in the book of Psalms 37:16, a little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. Proverbs 16:8, which will be the next one. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. 1 Timothy 6, verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. And Proverbs 15, verse 16. Better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith.